What's going on, guys? Welcome to another video here on TPS. I'm Anthony Bruno and I'm the new guy around here. I'm a big-time sports fan and love creating sports content, and now I'm joining the team here at TPS and I'm very excited about it. But enough about me, it's time to get into the video, so let's go. Over the weekend in the NFL, we saw one of the biggest trades in recent memory as the Los Angeles Rams sent Jared Goff, 2 first-round picks and a 3rd-round pick to the Detroit Lions for Matthew Stafford. And as good as Stafford is, there is another big fish out there who's requested a trade. And oh boy, is he going to command a huge package in return. Yes, Houston Texans star quarterback Deshaun Watson. And there should be several teams lined up to get him. And even though the Texans say they have zero interest in trading Watson, I think we all know how this is going to go. Watson recently changed his social media profiles to show that he has no connection to the Houston Texans organization. And another very important aspect of all this is that Deshaun Watson has a no-trade clause, so he can dictate where he wants to go. Texans beat writer John McClain recently sent out a tweet saying the Rams-Lions trade will have nothing to do with a Watson trade if the Texans do it. They'll want 2 1s, 2 2s, and 2 young defensive starters at the least. And honestly, it makes sense that Houston would be looking for a king's ransom in return for Deshaun Watson. We all know how good he is. He's still only 25 years old and is coming off a career season in which he led the NFL with over 4,800 passing yards and 8.9 yards per attempt. And he also set career highs, throwing 33 touchdown passes and completing 70% of his passes while tossing just 7 interceptions. And according to Pro Football Focus, Watson finished with the 3rd best passing grade in the NFL this past season at 91.2, behind only Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. And he did all this despite the Texans trading away his #1 wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins to the Arizona Cardinals in the offseason for David Johnson and a 2nd-round pick. I still can't believe the organization thought that was a good idea. And it even got to a point this past season with all the injuries they had at wide receiver and the suspension of Will Fuller that Deshaun Watson was making receiver Chad Hansen relevant in fantasy football. But as good as Deshaun Watson was last season, putting the Texans on his back, the team was a mess. They finished 4-12 and had one of the worst defenses in the NFL, giving up 416 yards per game, including a league-worst 160 rushing yards per contest. It was so bad that J.J. Watt said this to Deshaun Watson on the field after the Texans' final game of the season.
You wasted one of your years. I'm sorry. You should have 11 wins.
Alright, so which teams in the NFL should be making an offer for one of the best quarterbacks in the league? Well, to be quite honest, most of them should because he's just that good, but here are some landing spots that make sense for Deshaun Watson. Starting with the most obvious is the New York Jets, who have a ton of draft capital to facilitate a move for Watson with 4 first-round picks over the next 2 years. And they can obviously move Sam Darnold out as well, who has shown flashes, but let's be honest, he has not lived up to what the Jets thought they were getting with the 3rd overall pick in the draft. And now that Adam Gase is finally gone, Robert Saleh comes in from the 49ers, a coach Deshaun Watson reportedly really likes. And on top of that, Mekhi Becton is anchoring that offensive line. So all in all, it looks like a pretty solid landing spot for Watson. Another team that really intrigues me in the Watson sweepstakes, even though they don't have the draft capital that the Jets do, is the Indianapolis Colts. This team went 11-5 this past season, with Phillip Rivers as the starting quarterback, who quite frankly looked totally washed up in 2019 in his final season with the Chargers. So just imagine what Deshaun Watson could do to elevate this franchise. And the Colts have a really good offensive line led by Quentin Nelson, one of the best in the game, and they also have a really good young core of skill position players with running back Jonathan Taylor and receivers Paris Campbell and Michael Pittman. And on top of that, their defense is pretty solid as well, with dudes like Darius Leonard and DeForest Buckner, and Chris Ballard is a really smart general manager who I think will continue to make really good decisions when it comes to surrounding Deshaun Watson with talent. And then we have the Miami Dolphins, who head coach Brian Flores has done a great job with since he took over, and they have some pretty solid draft capital as well, with 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks in this year's draft. And of course, they also have Tua Tagovailoa, who they could move out in a potential trade for Watson. And let's be honest about Tua for a second. I know he was coming off the hip injury, but he did not look good this season. He just didn't look comfortable, and I'm sure he's going to get better and improve, but it already looks like the Dolphins screwed up taking Tua over Justin Herbert. And how about the Washington football team? Every great quarterback obviously wants a good offensive line, but on top of that, they also want a really good defense that can get to the quarterback. And with Washington, they have one of the best front sevens in the NFL, of course, led by Chase Young on that D-line. And on top of that, you give Deshaun Watson a weapon like Terry McLaurin, one of the best young receivers in the game, who has been fantastic his first 2 seasons in the NFL, despite having like 500 different quarterbacks who have thrown him the football. And then you have a team like the San Francisco 49ers, who look like they want an upgrade over Jimmy Garoppolo, and you have Kyle Shanahan, one of the best coaches in the NFL. He's an offensive genius, so just imagine what him and Deshaun Watson can do in that offense with weapons like George Kittle and Brandon Ayuk. And then you have a team like the Carolina Panthers, who, just like the Colts, who I mentioned earlier, have a really nice core of skill position players with Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, and Robbie Anderson. I can go on and on about all the teams that should be looking to acquire Deshaun Watson, but you get it. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, so it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. And real quick, let's talk about a team that I think Deshaun Watson should absolutely not go to, and that team, believe it or not, is the New England Patriots. And I know they have Bill Belichick, one of the greatest head coaches of all time, and they're an amazing franchise that's won 1 million Super Bowls. But do you think Deshaun Watson really wants to go from playing in Houston to playing in the cold in Foxborough? And on top of that, the Patriots have shown year after year, recently at least, that they keep swinging and missing when it comes to drafting and developing skill position players, and even trying to bring in pass catchers via trade or free agency. So does Deshaun Watson really want to go to New England and throw the ball to Jacoby Myers and N'Keal Harry and an aging Julian Edelman? We'll see, because at the end of the day, Deshaun Watson has a no-trade clause, so he can dictate where he wants to go, and I'm sure he already has his ideal landing spots right up in his head. New Texans GM Nick Caserio just walked in the building and must be thinking, what the hell did I just get myself into? Because he has a very tough situation on his hands. His 25-year-old franchise quarterback wants a trade, and the organization obviously doesn't want to deal him, so we'll see how long this stare down lasts between the Houston Texans and Deshaun Watson. That does it for this video. Please let us know in the comments where you think Deshaun Watson is going to land. Is he going to get traded, or is he going to stay put in Houston? Let us know. And if you enjoyed this video, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this. Thank you so much, and we will see you in the next video.